But the only other thing really to show about this whole station is the perma-booster. I've just spent a lot of time playing around with these things, and I think I found one that's just 100% reliable. I don't think there's anything more reliable than this. The door boosters seem to be pretty 100%, but I don't know how this holds up in multiplayer, but I know the door boosters don't really hold up in multiplayer. So if this thing does hold up in multiplayer, if anyone feels like building it, then it would probably be the most reliable booster there is. What it does basically is, if you don't really know about stations, there's always some sort of cart that's being permanently moved back and forth, so it can get sent out to pick up carts that come into the station, as you saw plenty of times already. But what'll happen is it'll stop moving somewhere, like so it'll just bug out and it won't move anymore, so your permanent motion booster isn't really permanent motion. And you usually have to come up here and reset it. So I tinkered around with ways to stop that from happening, and this is the way to do it. You've got two carts here. I just kind of did a little tutorial video on this before, but two carts here, one cart here, and another one of those boosters here. There's two carts merged into each other there, and then just the one, and that's what pushes it forward as opposed to getting it stuck. If you just have two carts instead of the three, it'll get stuck in this corner. They'll boost each other into the wall. This is what pushes it this way. This cart keeps these two pushed back, and what ends up happening is if it decides to stop motion anywhere, it picks up motion again because there's so many carts close together. So it can't bug out, because even if it does, it just starts moving once again. And as you can see, there's really no option for it to be touching anywhere where it's not touching the cart and immediately bouncing. And what happens is it doesn't really have any speed when this opens up, because this is the track that opens up to get boosted out. But since this is a decline piece, it'll just limp down here for a couple blocks, and then it'll pick up the booster. And the booster doesn't need to be that far down. It could be here to make it a little bit quicker. But this is also a double booster to give it a little bit more momentum. And that thing will, I've got to show you how it feeds into there really quick. So I'll do this. And that thing will not bug out on you. You don't have to worry about sitting on this pressure plate waiting for your cart to come and having it not come. So, I've overloaded the overflow system quite a lot. So let's get up here. I know it's cramped in this station. This is how it gets back. It has to get back this way, I believe, because if it comes back any other way, it'll push the carts out of position. So where it goes is it drops down right here onto this block. This is the block it drops down onto. And then it just gets pushed along. And as you see, this is open now because that pressure plate, that wooden pressure plate, is put down, and it'll close up again as soon as I get the block off. And that's pretty much everything. The rest is just the boosters that take the carts back up to the stack of carts, which is nothing too fancy. I got in the way of this. But if anyone has any questions, or if they want to know about the redstone or how to actually build any of this stuff, then I'll help you out and I'll let you know. So hopefully this was entertaining, and I'll see you later. Okay, I had to do a bit of remodeling to the Eats boat system because it wasn't working properly for me. That boat that was stuck outside, that was happening almost every time I loaded in and out of the world. The reason it was doing that is because it was glitching through the door when I load into the world, and the reason it was doing that is because I built it facing the wrong way, which is east-west. And as you can see by the clouds that aren't really existence anyways, this is north and this is south, and this is the way you should always build an Eat station. And I'm post a link to the tutorial videos by Ethos, the guy that invented all this, so when you build the station, just make sure you do that, or else you're going to run into the problem I did. And that is, right now, when it's east-west, like it was, the doors, it's facing the door like it should be. But here I am, back in the world, and now it's facing north-south. It always wants to face north-south if you load in and out. And now it wouldn't work anymore. It was glitching through the door. Sometimes it would just break instead of turning. So I had to fix things. And even though it's still facing in this direction, instead of me just building the station properly, I jury-rigged it to do it this way, and it'll work now. And I'll explain why. First of all, for the Eat stuff, the basics behind it is that pressure plates and signs, they alter water. Like water can't travel on a block that has either of those things on them. As you can see here, there's water here and here, but since there's two signs here, there's water doesn't exist, so it just gets pushed around. And you can control the flow of water by doing that. As this right here is just a straight thing of water, you can tell by the current the way it's pushing me. Pushes me straight. I wasn't using the movement keys there. And even though it's surrounded by water, there's two signs here, and a sign here, which means it can only exist in this block, and this block, and this one down here. Hopefully that's a good enough explanation. So, you know, the water has current, and of course boats travel in the current, as does everything else. But the thing that ends up happening is if you keep the boat down, like you keep it on one block instead of having it bounce up, because water, it always wants to rise to the top of water. So if you do that, it actually gets boosted along by the current, like at the same speed as a boosted minecart. They're both the same. Some guy did a video of them side by side, and they travel at the same speed. And the reason you use glass or ladders is because glass, you can sit inside glass and it won't do damage. Like if it was cobblestone, it would start doing damage to you, but glass won't. And ladders, they have collision on them. I'm trying to walk forward right now. And it's the sides, the top, and the bottom, so the ladder will also keep a boat down, although only for a little margin, while a glass block will keep it down for the whole block. And that's how it gets boosted. And what was happening before, why it was breaking and glitching through, is there was a little bit too much horsepower behind the thing. And what I meant by that is the water, like it is right here, you see how it's big and thick because it's only a couple blocks wide. It actually pushes harder than water like it is here when it's 8 blocks, this is kind of misleading. This is actually should look like a skinniest piece of water possible, because 8 blocks is as far as water can travel, and this is exactly 8 blocks long this way, and this one's exactly 8 blocks long this way. They meet up right here, and actually the amount of force that it's pushing this boat with is as little as possible, which is why it's not breaking. And which is why I can get into it even though it's completely out of position. Usually a boat is just going to shatter on you if you try moving it when it's like this, especially if there's another boat hitting it, but it won't because it's just not getting pushed with enough force. And that's kind of how I got it to work. I'll explain that a little bit more in a second. As you can see here, there's a sign and a pressure plate which keeps this just 1 block wide, and it just follows the current. The glass keeps it down, as does the ladder. So hopefully that's not a horrible explanation. Back down we go. Now what's happening here is, and now it's facing the proper way, is there's no blocks here to keep it down. As there's no ladders, there's no glass blocks, it's just an empty blocks here. Signs have no collision, neither do buttons. So the boat comes this way, and as it comes this way, it actually gets picked up on this floating block of water right here. This block of water is completely isolated from everything else. It's got this here to keep it in, this here, this one here. It's just 1 block, actually. I think I can, yeah, see? That's all it is, but that actually picks the boat up. Since I think a boat's technically 2 blocks tall, and the boat will actually start to rise as soon as this door opens. And it's a little bit slow, but as you see, it gets picked up like that. And since, oops, there they both go. Because since this current's going this way, like I showed before, that'll align it this way. And boat always wants to rise to the top of the water, so since the water goes all the way up, it rises all the way to the top. And that's pretty much everything that's going on here. The button, the reason it has signs on either side instead of just having this over here is because buttons don't block water like everything else does. If I tried putting water on this block where this piece of glass is to make this a little bit less complex looking, it would actually kill the button. It would knock it right off the wall. So I had to have this one floating block right here, because that'll catch it. Boat's 2 blocks tall and wide, I think, technically, or something like that. It's pretty cool the way it all works out. See, here's a bunch of water just contained by signs and nothing else. And that's how it all goes. I'll need to get up there to trigger that door to bring the boats back down. But hopefully that helps some people out, and I'll see you guys later.